It's crazy popular to say that nice guys finish last and never get the girl, and that bad boys finish first and always get the girl. However, that is not the true story. It's way more complex than that, and I'm about to reveal why. But first, you got to remember to subscribe to my channel. First things first, everybody always talks about nice guys and bad boys, but there isn't any real definition for what a nice guy or bad boy is per se. Now, some say that a bad boy is a womanizer, others say that macho men are bad boys, whereas others say that criminals are. Some even say that James Bond is a bad boy, but then, is he? And then what about nice guys? Some people call Pete Davidson the ultimate nice guy, whereas others call him the ultimate bad boy. Which is he then? There's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Some call him the ultimate nice guy, but is he? Well, the answer is yes and no to every question. This is because fundamentally it's subjective. What I'm saying is one person's nice guy is another's bad boy and vice versa. But to simplify things for the purposes of this discussion, I'm going to imagine that a nice guy is a guy who generally treats people with respect and that a bad boy is a guy who generally doesn't. Now, I think that's a definition that most people would agree with. And so with that said, it's time to ask the important question. Which of these two is the most popular with women? Well, no doubt the consensus will be that it's the bad boy, so the one who generally doesn't treat people with respect. But no, not even close. It just seems that way. I'll explain why. Imagine that you're a film producer and you get pitched 3 potential stories by a director. The first is of a nice guy getting the girl from the start and living happily ever after. The second is of a nice guy winning the girl from a bad boy and living happily ever after. And the third is of a seemingly bad boy winning the girl from a seemingly nice guy. Now, if you want your film to make big money, which of these 3 stories are you as the producer going to pick? Well, let's have a look at them and think about it. The first one would be boring as hell. It just would be, which is why it's never told, so you're not going to pick that one. The second one is interesting, but it has limitations, which is why, even though it's often told, normally under the guise of a geek or a bumbling guy of some sort getting the girl from the bad boy, it's not the most commonly told story arc, so you're not going to pick that one either, at least not when you have the option of the third one. This is because the third one, which is the most commonly told story, is by far the most compelling and literally can be told in a million different ways, which can be seen by looking at Hollywood. For example, pretty much every action and adventure film where there's a love interest uses this story arc, from Zorro to Indiana Jones to James Bond to you name it. But it doesn't stop there. Disney films love to use this story arc. Think Beauty and the Beast in every Disney film like it. Then there's fiction. Think Pride and Prejudice, 50 Shades of Grey, the Twilight Saga. Literally, the list is endless. Hell, even Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man follows this story arc. The rough around the edges guy who's painted as a sort of bad boy in the beginning, but by the end is clearly the nice guy. What I'm getting at is that the bad boy never gets the girl in any movie or book. It's always the nice guy. It's just the nice guy frequently looks like a bad boy at the beginning of the story, and the story is typically us finding out that by the end he's actually a nice guy. And I know what you're thinking at this point. Fiction is not real life, and even if the bad boy never gets the girl in fiction, in real life he does, and that's true. Nowhere near as often as the nice guy, but it does happen. In terms of why, the best way to explain is through a story which I've seen play out in real life many times over. It goes like this, and I'm going to use an example of a friend of mine from university. Basically, he crazy fancied this girl from one of our modules and she liked him. However, despite this, she ended up dating the class bad boy. This happened for 2 reasons. The first is that even though she liked my friend never pursued her romantically. I even asked him once why he had never asked her out, and he told me that he had wanted to, but the opportunity never presented itself. And no doubt you've heard this story told many times. Everyone has, but I'm not going to say what most people say at this point. That's because the bad boy didn't get the girl because he asked her out and the nice guy didn't. Even if my friend had asked her out, I doubt she would have said yes, and not because she didn't like him, for another reason. That reason is that my friend had absolutely terrible social skills, and I mean terrible. And this really matters because if you don't know how to initiate the type of conversation to build the type of connection needed to be able to ask somebody out and go on to have a relationship with them, then unless the person you want to ask out has those skills and is willing to take the initiative, you're both screwed. And I mean that literally. It doesn't matter if 2 people really like each other. For modern romance to spark, somebody has to be able to actually spark the initial connection. If neither party can do that, then you could fancy each other to death, but you're still not going to connect romantically because neither of you will be able to initiate the romance. And unfortunately for my friend, this was the situation he was in. He didn't have the skills and she didn't have the skills, but the bad boy did, and he used them to make her believe everyone had him wrong and that he was just misunderstood and that he really was a nice guy. He wasn't, but he made her believe he was. And in the end, that's the difference between success and failure in modern dating. The one who can best sell themselves as a nice person and then use that fact to spark a connection always wins the day. So it's got nothing to do with nice guys versus bad boys or anything like that. It's all about social skills. In this case, the bad boy had them and the nice guy didn't, so the bad boy got the girl. And I want to be clear here, a nice guy with social skills versus a bad boy with social skills normally wins today, as to be a bad boy and use these skills well, you also need to be a great actor, which fortunately for everyone, not many people are. That's why nice guys normally get the girl. Now, I admit it may not seem this way, but that's because when we talk about the real world dating scene, we tend to focus on the bad boys that do get the girl and the nice guys that don't, and forget about the rest. We probably do this to try to teach people how to identify bad boys and to try to teach nice guys how to beat the bad boys. So the most likely reason we think bad boys get the girl over nice guys is because whether in real life or in fiction, we are constantly trying to teach people how to avoid bad boys by telling stories of how the bad boy got the girl and how the nice guy screwed up in not getting the girl. The point I'm making is this: nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to date somebody who is not nice. The idea they do is preposterous. That means the key to being successful on the dating scene is not being a bad boy. How could it be? Society is constantly trying to teach us how to avoid them. It's learning good social skills, and if you add being a truly nice guy to those skills, it will most likely translate into you having a very happy ending. If you're looking to improve your social skills, I've added some links to some books in the description box. I don't make any money if you buy these books, so these books are books I genuinely recommend. And with that said, that's all from me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, remember to give it a like and subscribe to my channel, because the more who do so, the more of these I can make. Is that a good bribe? I hope it is. I'll see you next time.